Okay, third time trying to record this. Let's go. Hello, everybody. My name is Asmogan, and welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be talking about Trench Crusade and a little bit of drama that's going on. But before we get into the drama, before we get into the controversy as it has been happening, I did want to throw out just some nerd criticisms about the map. You guys see there? Just as a nerd, by the way, again, totally like in a pocket, ignoring all of the drama and ignoring all the culture war stuff and ignoring the Trench Crusade people and their shittiness. Ignoring all that for just a second and critiquing this map. Again, I've recorded this 2 times before now, so I'm just going to be a lot more simpler with my thoughts. I know, so sad, but I don't want to go into the same level of detail I did before. The video will end up being like 3 hours long if I do. So, short version. This map, This map is terrible for Trench Crusade on multiple levels. Quick rattle-off version of my much more deeper thoughts that I've recorded before, but it's just too much. It's too bright, like, aesthetically. Like, this is not a very intimidating or grimdark map in aesthetic or design. Additionally, time period-wise, it looks like a mid-medieval designed map. Trench Crusade is supposed to take place during like a World War I era, like it's supposed to be the 1914, 1913, something like that. This does not look like a map that would have been around that time. World War I period maps are very similar to the maps we use nowadays. Not one for one, but very, very similar. A lot more informational, logistical, a lot less artistic. So this is a very strange choice for the setting. And again, very cartoony designs, the way they have like little monsters and stuff here, even the look of the of what are supposed to be like world-ending threat demons, right? The way they're depicted down there, they almost look like chibis, like they're just kind of cutesy and artsy. It just robs all the like significance of what should be like world-ending terrors in these little gray zones, and it just doesn't feel so severe or dark. Ironically, in their attempt to be kind of stylistic, they ended up making Trench Crusade, just in this map anyway, look infinitely less intimidating and like severe of a setting than it actually is. Like there is such a massive disconnect between this map design and the artwork we've seen before of any of the Trench Crusade like units and stuff. Like the divide is massive. This looks like it was made in Incarnate, which is like a TTRPG map maker thing you can find online. I use it for my own TTRPGs, but that aside. And this looks like it was generated in that and had a couple of unique things thrown in on it on like a Photoshop layer. That's about it. It's not grimdark in any way. Like the closest to grimdark that this map kind of gives off is this little eyeball here and this skeleton decoration, and that is pitiful. Like it's less grimdark than Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, okay? Like this. In fact, ironically, this map wouldn't look out of place in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, but it is very out of place for Trench Crusade. This is just time period wise, just the wrong design. Thematically, it's incredibly bad for Trench Crusade because again, like it just seems to rob the setting of any of its darkness. It's just a bad map. This is a terrible design. This looks like a great map if we're starting a TTRPG and a custom, maybe at most dark fantasy. But Trench Crusade, no. Whoever made this map, fire them and get someone new. Hell, an intern could probably do better. Anyway, now that I have gotten and thrown shade on just the level of nerdiness of like the map itself, and I'm not gonna critique it from a historical perspective because I'm not a history nerd. I know way more about 40k lore than I know about real world history of like the Crusades and the medieval periods. I've learned a lot about that stuff being in the community that I am, but I am in no way an expert on history. So I'm not even going to pretend to cover it from that perspective, just solely on design in relation to, almost said Kingdom Come, in relation to Trench Crusade. This is a terrible fucking map. They need to do way better. And yeah, this doesn't in no way makes me think of Trench Crusade when I look at this map. Anywho, now on to the juicy drama of today. So, this post has been doing the rounds in the anti-woke community, the Chudhammer community, if you prefer that title, or the Legion of Unpopular Opinions, whichever name of the collective group of people who just don't like woke shit and push back against it. in our particular end of the community. This has been making the round. This particular post from Kaleo, or at Kaleo Kathleen. This person has me blocked. Thank God the way Twitter works now, I can still see posts from people who block me. Thank you, Elon. You know, they haven't, regardless of having me blocked or not, they made this post, Trench Crusader, Trench Crusade, but okay, totally a real fan, by the way. Trench Crusader dropped their world map, and as usual, Europe's xenophobia is disgusting AF, as fuck. Take a good and long luck, where were the... Hold on, let me just read this as written for a second here. Take a good and long luck where the demon hordes are coming from. I'm speaking of English. Fucking good God, use Google Translate. It'd be better like than you trying to spell. Goddamn. So now let me read it as it was supposed to be written. Trench Crusader dropped their world map, and as usual, Europe's xenophobia is disgusting as fuck. Take a good and long look where the demon hordes are coming from. Jerusalem? Where in the lore, I believe it's called the Gates of Gehenna. Correct me if I'm wrong. But where the Hell Gate was opened? What's your point? Wait, this person's a lefty too. Wouldn't they agree with Jerusalem being the source of it all? Am I missing something? But okay. So, yeah, hold on, I'm very confused. So, do they go in any further? I like the Jerusalem-specific twist a lot. My problem is, you know, cultists are all humans. The humans of the regions that are controlled by the demons are cultists to demons by the lore. I don't think it is sensitive that they choose these places specifically for cultist demon worshippers. What the fuck are you talking about? It's the holy city, right? It's like the irony of it, right? Is that this is supposed to be the Holy Land. This is supposed to be the land of God, and I believe like Crusaders went there, hid in the holy city of Jerusalem in the bowels of it, and then ended up in a desperate attempt to I don't know what they were trying to do exactly. I'm trying to remember all the bits in the middle of the night here, but they opened the gates of hell accidentally and unleashed literal demons upon the world. That's the irony of the location. It's not like they chose the location by throwing darts at a board. It works thematically. What the fuck are you complaining about? But yeah, this person's obviously a complete and utter fucking retard. That aside, they're a woke retard. I know that's pretty much saying retard twice, but irregardless. Yeah, so now the reason that this post has been making the rounds, and I think it's pretty obvious why, is because this is the kind of person and the part of a community that the Trench Crusade folks intentionally have garnered and have cultivated as their community. They have ostracized and done their absolute best to push out any people or any person who's basically normal. Like, if you didn't even need to be anti-woke to get kicked out of, for example, the 28 mag Discord they set up for Trench Crusade, or the Trench Crusade specific Discord that was later produced. You didn't need to be anti-woke explicitly to get kicked out. You just needed to not be woke, pretty much. Like, if you didn't parrot or bend over backwards for people who claim to be trans and stuff like that on the servers when you were talking about the lore, or when they were trying to shoehorn in lefty politics into it, and you were trying, or you were like just a Christian and you were looking at it from like the fascination of that point of view and stuff. Like, just, if you weren't woke, you were ostracized and kicked out of the community. People were getting kicked out of the community en masse just simply for not being woke. And it was very clear, also when like people were like saying, hey, Trench Crusade, your community manager people, or 28 mag, they're throwing out everybody who isn't explicitly woke. Like, call them out. Like, what are you doing? And Trench Crusade came out and said, in no uncertain terms, they fully support and back their friends at 28 mag. In other words, they are for the woke. They in no way wanted just non-woke or anti-woke people at all. They drew their line in the sand and happily hopped on one side. They didn't even try and cultivate a mixed community of decent people and just said, hey, we don't care about woke or anti-woke. We don't want any of that here. We just want Trench Crusade. We just want the setting we've established and the internal politics within it. We don't want any propaganda on the real world left or the real world right, which would have been respectable and downright championed by many people. Like a community that just says none of that shit. We're here to talk Trench Crusade. That would have been preferable, but that's not what they decided to do. So because of that, you know, all this time later, when something like this happens where their own community that they have cultivated is turning on them for the slightest perceived deviation from the woke messaging and the woke perspective, it's a bit of irony, and people are kind of jumping on it. But this is where I think I'm going to deviate a little bit from like what a lot of the anti-woke / Chudhammer crowd / Legion of Unpopular Opinion / the community I normally associate with, and I am associated with them. But this is where I'm going to deviate a little bit. Because I've seen some people say that this is the downfall of Trench Crusade. That Trench Crusade is completely falling after all this. Although I do agree that this is a sign of an eventual downfall if they don't deviate and try and find a more reasonable approach. And even if they do, there's so many people who are just so pissed that they took a side so definitively that I don't think they're ever going to get everybody back. But if they don't course correct, this absolutely will lead to more stuff like this every time they try and do something creative or fun in the setting that isn't like explicitly parroting woke ideology. Yeah, like the woke are going to attack them for it. Like, look what they did to J.K. Rowling. That woman is 100% woke. Like, 100%. She just didn't agree on one thing. One thing. And not even really, she didn't even really disagree that heavily. She was actually quite vanilla about it. But she slightly deviated from the message and got burnt at the stake. And to this day, despite the fact that she has continued to preach and bend over backwards to try and adhere to the left and to woke ideology, to the point that Snape is now black, they still try and crucify the woman. So that shows the audience that Trench Crusade have garnered here. As it is right now, I don't think Trench Crusade is currently falling. I do think that they have lost a lot of people. Like, objectively, they lost a lot of followers. Because they left Twitter here. They didn't delete the account, which I find is interesting. So I have a few suspicions about that. I feel like they're going to eventually come back to Twitter. They're just leaving it right now. Because, again, they're trying to champion the cause of 28 Mag and support their woke allies that, again, that are going to do more to them. But they don't care. It's about they're ideologically captured. But they left Twitter and went to Blue Sky. You know, pedo Blue Sky. They revealed a map because they're surrounded by them currently. But yeah, like they went to Blue Sky, and as far as I understand it, they have only like 6.9K followers over there, and their Twitter account had like 69 to 80, somewhere in there. 80,000 or something followers on Twitter. Not a record-breaking amount, but that's a lot of people that they left behind that are no longer directly viewing their latest posts and information. Like pretty much everybody's still here on Twitter and X. So I find that interesting. Yeah, they've lost in that aspect for like social media following. They've lost a ton transferring to Blue Sky, which is why I don't think that they're going to stay there for very long. Give it 6 months tops, and they're going to come back to Twitter. Or X, whatever. They'll come back because they lost a lot, and it's going to take them forever to regain that following, if they would regain it at all on Blue Sky, which quite frankly they won't. They won't, not on Blue Sky. Blue Sky is just a political platform. That's all it is. X, at least, is only 80% political at this point. It's still got a subsect of like nerdiness and like geekdom on Twitter. But Blue Sky, it's pure politics. Like, everyone who's on Blue Sky is either outright woke and psychotically so, or is somebody over there pretending to be so and is spying on the woke to then share cringe screenshots with the rest of us on X. Like, that's the whole population of Blue Sky. So, yeah. But, like, will the tabletop setting and game of Trench Crusade is it falling, or is it on a downfall, or is this indicative of a fall anytime soon? No. They made $6 million on their Kickstarter, which before like any woko tries to, because one woke psycho went in the comments of a completely unrelated video of mine, a mini painting video of mine too, to proclaim like, oh, see, this is a defeat against you chuds. It's like, not really. That $6 million amount wasn't from just woke psychos. Like, that was very clearly from the vast majority of the silent majority of people who are just nerds, who are just dorks, who all they saw was a new setting that they wanted to get into and wanted to get the minis of and try out. That 6 million is mostly from people who are tired of Warhammer, who are tired or just not appealed to by bolt action or Conflict 47 or similar TT war games in that vein, and they saw something that was more aligned with their love of Warhammer or similar, and they weren't aware of the drama, they weren't aware of the controversy, because they're normies or close to normies. To even be aware of Trench Crusade, you have to be a little bit less of a normie. But still, they were, for our community anyway, normies that aren't following all the drama and probably still don't know half of the shit that happened. And they just wanted to invest in a new hobby and a new space. That's it. So it's not a win for the woke, or it's not a win for the woke, and it's not a win or loss for Chudhammer that money and that amount got accrued. That's just indicative of how sick and tired of people are of Warhammer. And like what GW has been doing with price gouging and similar, as well as what they've been doing with the setting for years. That's what is indicative of. So let's be clear on that point. Irregardless, Trench Crusade did make that money. They have 6 million in the bank. Apparently they're not using it on whoever they hired to do the map, because this is some random intern who used Incarnate and then Photoshop for some random graphics that they threw on there. Again, hire somebody who actually is going to make a map, A, that is grimdark, B, is not a medieval map, because again, this is supposed to take place in a World War I-esque era, so it should look more of a logistical, close to modern map. Seriously. Like, why? But anyway, so yeah, like I said, Trench Crusade is not falling at all. I don't think that they're going to anytime soon. I'm certainly not following Trench Crusade myself. I'm not really interested. Maybe if someone offered me like the STLs for free, I might print some off to paint just on my own spare time. But I lost all interest in the setting after they chose a line in the sand and they ostracized so many people. And again, not even just anti-woke people, but just people who just weren't woke. Like that rubbed me the wrong way. No, I'm not supporting that shit. So yeah. That being said, I'm not going to tell anybody else not to or to support. It's up to you, your own personal opinion, and the like, but yeah. So, outside of that deviation from it, though, it is kind of interesting and kind of funny to watch the woke already begin to eat their own at the very first opportunity. Obviously, this psycho is not widely supported even for the psychos. Like, look at that. Like, that is comically destroyed. They didn't even bother trying to bot this shit. But yeah, they're very clearly getting destroyed in the comments and in the replies to their tweet. Virtually nobody, even if they are woke, or siding with this psycho. Everybody's like, nah, you're full of it. So it's just funny to watch. But is this indicative of what might happen in the future a lot more? Absolutely. It's the woke we're talking about. Again, they will eventually eat their own. All it takes is just the right amount of deviation. This was enough to get one of them, and maybe certainly 200 or so people who agree with this person to psychotically shift. But the majority, not yet. Give it time, though. Give it time. I absolutely believe eventually a downfall will come when Trench Crusade try and do one fun or creative thing too much, and that doesn't directly parrot and in their psycho minds actually deviates from their message, that they will try and destroy them. And we can watch from afar, because, hey, why stop your enemy when they're making a mistake? Good God. The only other thing, like, I wanted to mention, like, that was kind of going around is, not that, Lord Metalman's been, like, you know, goofing on him as well. But it's actually this I want to look at. This was shared by, Wheezy Pillar, on Twitter, known as Combat Wombat, or Anti-Lib Wombat. So the Trench Crusade folks apparently had some kind of, panel. Apparently at Adepticon. Interestingly, we're at Adepticon. But they had a panel at Adepticon, and were like doing a presentation, like a slideshow. And they have on. I haven't seen any other screenshots or like pictures of the other slides and stuff. So I am very curious if there's a video out there. So there has to be, right? There has to be a video out there somewhere of someone who recorded like near the whole thing. But this is the only thing I've seen of it. And apparently they were doing a presentation and they were like, "Hey, mistake number 3: piss off some huge internet influencers." Many extremist influencers were attracted to the project, thinking it was about endorsing their views. Now, I'm probably not who they're referencing, because at the time when I was initially covering Trench Crusade, and like the initial drama that was happening, I had like 5,000 subs, 6,000, something like that, 5 or 6,000. I'm at 11.1k now, which, by the way, thank you all, you lovely, amazing human beings. But yeah, I still am, and at the time I was even smaller. So they're definitely not talking about me, I wouldn't think. And I guess for the tabletop wargame sphere, maybe I'm considered decent sized now, but again, at the time I am, and at the time was definitely a nobody in regards to this space. So despite that, though, I do want to kind of confront this point. Out of the people like myself, whether we're talking like no matter who we're talking about here, I can't think of a single influencer or like YouTuber or anybody that was covering this like from our side of the fence, like anti-woke and stuff, like Arch, for example. Arch is like the pristine example we're going to be talking about. He didn't get or start talking about Trench Crusade from a negative point of view, and he definitely wasn't talking about it like it was, well, not massively anyway, like it was parroting his views. And speaking for myself, which again, this isn't really referring to me, but speaking for myself, my initial interest in Trench Crusade was the aesthetic. I really loved the aesthetic. It very much conjured a grimdark setting for me that I was really craving, because 40k has been losing its grimdark identity for years. So I was very attracted to it. Also, it had like that, demons versus, like people of the faith, and I'm a Christian, so I thought that was really cool for an aesthetic, and like taking it to a very like a grimdark extreme. Obviously, fictitious versions of the faith, but still fun. And that's what attracted me. In no way or shape or form was I looking at Trench Crusade, and I don't think Arch was either, and I don't think anybody else was. I don't think any of us were looking at Trench Crusade and thinking, "Oh my God, this is gonna parrot our real world views and our real world political opinions." Nah, dude, that's not what we were thinking at all. Certainly not me, and I'm pretty sure Arch wasn't thinking that either. It wasn't about preaching our point of view. It was about, hey, this setting is actually grimdark. This setting is actually like intense, and is actually taking advantage of that nitty grittiness that 40k once had that it's lost. And we miss it, and we want that back, and Trench Crusade seems to be offering it. That's what attracted us. The fact that you think we were attracted by what, ironically, the woke were attracted by. The woke were attracted by the fact that you were being supported by 28 Mag, and that you were backing 28 Mag, which are out and right psychotic leftists. You were making a line in the sand, and they smelled the blood in the water and went for it. Ironically, what you're accusing us of doing, and what attracted us, is what they did. They jumped on Trench Crusade not because they had any genuine interest in your creative setting and your beautiful artwork and everything that attracted us. What they saw was an opportunity to preemptively get their claws into that setting and proclaim it as their own, and they succeeded. You gave in, and instead of... And listen, I'm not saying you guys had to change your political view to welcome us in. You be leftists if you want, but don't be... Obviously, what I'm about to say here doesn't actually work with leftists, but in a dreamland here, you could have just kept your politics out of it and asked us to keep ours out, and we would have been happy to just talk about the internal politics of Trench Crusade, the setting itself, and its own unique setting, separate from the real world and real world issues. But you guys chose to bend the knee to psychotic leftists who are extremely happy to eat your ass the moment you do anything slightly deviating from the narrative. We wouldn't have done that. And no true fan, and no one who had true interest in the setting of Trench Crusade was going to do this. Well, political far-left activists, happy to do it. Doesn't matter how big or who you are. Again, they did it to J.K. Rowling. Why on earth would they show you guys any more mercy when you're far tinier of a presence? No offense. Fuck that. All the offense intended. But anyway, we kicked them out with a vengeance. You gotta love how, like, they're patting themselves on the back. This does also show indicatively, like, how their mindset was at the time and since. They've just been patting themselves on the back, thinking that they did a cool thing. They don't realize that they kind of fucked themselves pretty hard. Now, obviously, they still made a lot of money, but in the long run, they have hurt themselves a bit here. Because so many people who had a genuine interest in your setting and had no intention of pushing their political views, and they just wanted a new grimdark setting to get into, are now no longer interested and now no longer are investing their time, effort, and money into your tabletop game. And again, you had such an opportunity to just keep your mouth shut. All you needed to do was say, no, we're not here to preach left politics, and we're not here to preach right politics. Hell, even say, we don't believe right-leaning politics. But it's not about that. It's not political. This is Trench Crusade. If you're here to talk Trench Crusade, talk Trench Crusade. Leave it at that. But no, you had to kick people out who simply didn't parrot the line. They set out to attack Trench Crusade as they have done to many games, films, and comics. Again, it's this victim mentality. Like, oh, like they came to attack us and to destroy us. We weren't invaders. We weren't like Mongolians coming for the wall. We were interested hobbyists. We were people who had genuine interest in this setting and wanted to dive into the escapism and not bring our politics into it because we didn't want the left or the right to come in. We wanted Trench Crusade. Not as a political capture point, which again, the irony of this is that the left, that was their mindset. It was a political capture point for them. For us, it was a new setting. It was a new place to go to escape the real stuff, to escape our politics, the left politics, to escape all of it and get into Trench Crusade politics in a pocket on its own, separate from the real world. It's the same shit we want to do with 40k, but we can't do that anymore because of femstodies and other similar things permanently marring the setting with a political ideological capture. It's shit like that we want to avoid that Trench Crusade could have serviced, but you couldn't help but defend 28 mag and push, in essence, push their political perspective. With their huge reach and hundreds of thousands of followers, things looked grim. Now, obviously, I can infer from that the next slide was probably, rebounding from this. But it's interesting that they do admittedly call it a mistake, which does make me, A, wonder what 1 and 2 was for mistake. And B, if this is them listing off a mistake, it seems like these points are hyping up to the fact that, oh, this didn't actually mess us up too much. That'd be my guess. God knows what the other slides looked like. I would really love to see if anyone's got like the full footage or all the slide pictures at least. But irregardless, again, to the Trench Crusade people, you don't realize what you did, do you? Like, we weren't an invading force. And again, push us aside, there were plenty of people who just weren't woke, that just were interested in a new escapist hobby that you pushed out because they weren't interested in meeting on the ground with trans crap. And like pronoun crap, and they just want to talk Trench Crusade and logistically and like the settings internal details, and they were kicked out because of vibes. People were kicked out for quote vibes. I covered that in my original footage, my original coverage. So it's just, you don't realize how much you fucked yourself. It's not surprising, and it is unfortunate. But shit like this is only going to happen all the more because of what you did. Oh well. Anyway, that's it for this video, guys. I guess I could rant a little bit more on some other details. But I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Are you still interested in Trench Crusade? Do you think they're reaping what they sow? Do you think they are actually downfalling? Or do you agree with me that they're not quite downfalling? It's a bit of a hyperbolic statement. They're more so just cruising, but certainly they're establishing and getting ready to set up the dominoes that will eventually fall when they make just the wrong mistake for the community that they've garnered. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. But anyway, that's it for me, guys. I'm gonna head out, get some sleep, because I just got home from work and it's almost 1 a.m. and I am fucking tired. So, see you guys later. Bye-bye.